welcome back to another week of the Sure Is Quiet podcast. I'm Terrielle, your resident Pillow Talk host for all things single ladies, what it means and how to make the most of it, and what you can do about it, if anything. As we continue to peel back the many layers of this topic, we'll be continuing to feature a great pedigree of guests, including in this episode, to shed some light on the many perspectives surrounding the life of the proverbial cat lady. On today's show, we'll be discussing closure, where to find it, and do you need it? And I'm really excited. We're going to be having a very astute, versed real estate professional, investor, and developer. No, we're not just talking finding a cozy home, but this guy can tug at your heart too. He is my former partner and past boyfriend, Hakeem. This is going to be a fun one. And he's going to be sharing his perspective and path up to this point. So this is really great to have from another perspective. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Toriel.
Yay. So, let's get into it. Now, I've heard sometimes that I play it too safe, but it's just that I prefer my danger in other ways. And dredging up questions to an old flame is one way to do it. I like to call myself a scorched earth person. So, it's really great that this one slipped through the cracks. We dated until around 2014, so if you would have asked me to do this sometime sooner, it probably wouldn't have happened. I personally don't suggest going back and forth with someone once things have ended, but different relationships and life experiences occurred that allow for both parties to hopefully grow, mature, and learn. And he can definitely tell you I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of staying friends with old flames, but for all intents and purposes of today's podcast, I'm very thankful and appreciative that both of us can do this full circle. In lieu of last week's episode, I hope you enjoyed it. Episode 3 was Why Are You Single and Other Things That Aren't People's Business. Remember that these episodes are now available also on YouTube, so please subscribe for exclusive content. I'm going to give a little context, and please feel free to jump in at any time. He and I met sometime after I had just moved back to Dallas after college. Like most of my 20s, was about finding and doing me and trying to find my way as a local musician, singing at the time. We met while I was doing just that and hit it off immediately. He brought a different level of maturity, discipline, and courtship, if I'm honest, has been scarce in the current dating season. I'm definitely more of a free spirit, and as they say, opposites attract. But of course, no one is without their faults, and eventually those things came to a head. So since then, we've definitely taken different paths, and I'll let him tell you about his. But since then, I spent a lot more time doing me. Well, you want to give any background?
I think we had a wonderful 2.5 years, living together for a big portion of that. Overall, it was an interesting experience. Definitely free-spirited Terrielle with her playing music every day and practicing and singing. And among other things, of course. Some relationships, as you know. Family involvements, everything else, work life.
Yep. 5 stars. 4.
Good times.
Right? Thank you. Maybe like most, after things end, you spend time searching for how to get the person back, how to show them that you're different, how to show them that you've made changes, and if you could only make this person see. Sorry, roomies, if I've taken some of y'all back. Now, when that didn't get me the results, it was how quickly I could find another person to show off or engulf myself in, so I could have a quote-unquote ending or move on. In other words, today's topic, closure. And that wasn't the first relationship I found myself looking for closure, but it was one of the last, and you'll see, it has come full circle. Once I realize what I'm about to share, I hope it will bring you a point of closure to something in your lives as well. Alright, what is closure and why do you need it? Now, according to the good old Merriam-Webster dictionary, it is defined as an act of closing, the condition of being closed, And we'll be focusing on the second definition, which is an often comforting or satisfying sense of finality. So, besides looking for comfort and to be satisfied in these uncomfortable situations you can't control, we are constantly looking for an ending to the beginning. It's like hanging out on the seventh chord in music. Your ears, your body, something in the moment is naturally nagging at you to lean in, return to the what musicians call the home position, or it's also called a one chord. It's the moment of discomfort when you can't sneeze, like when it's like right there. You know what's supposed to happen, and if you could just hurry up and get there, you'd be relieved. Hmm. So I got curious and asked my good friend Google, why do we want or need an ending anyway? And shout out to the O'Connor Mortuary out in California, because if anyone has a good handle, it is definitely those in this profession of tending to us as we reach the final closure. So I referenced an article from Miss Molly Keating, and she writes, endings are important because they are certain. We can tolerate bad things more easily if we know there is an ending coming. And since 1374, we've been quoting Chaucer's famous line, all good things must come to an end. The knowledge of that ending adds incredible value to our life experiences. I think we've grown to know or eventually learn that change and ending is a part of the human experience and that all death of things is not necessarily bad and in these instances out of our control. We endure cold seasonal periods of bare branches in the winter just to be rewarded with a beautiful bouquet of colors to get us through fall and to enjoy green, leafy, shady trees in the summer. We know things leave but return again, sometimes in an even better, robust version than we previously saw. So, where do you get it? Where do you get this closure? In my second episode, I also hope you enjoyed, we talked about getting real with yourself in certain situations because no one can or will do that for you. Internally, only you know what you need. The first thing I would suggest is to release the situation already, as you would say, well, is what it is and can't be changed or altered, i.e., acceptance. It's like a live stage play. If you've ever seen a musical or something on Broadway, yes, they repeat the same words, but from night to night, there's a cough, there's a different inflection, there's a different sound. So it's never quite the same way twice. And the kicker is, closure is going to have to come on your end. Now, besides a good cry or a burning ritual of an item, I mean, I'm not suggesting go full on waiting to exhale here, but also writing a letter to get out final thoughts or words unsaid that no one reads are all methods that you not only see but allow you to get out last emotions. Well, maybe you could explain for you or maybe the male perspective why it's important to find your own version of closure.
Your own version of closure. That's an interesting question. 3, 2, 1. Closure really depends on the relationship, so it's different from one breakup to the next, depending on the person that you were with, how that relationship went. In my opinion, it's really not something that I've looked for. However, there has been some situations where you have to question what went wrong. Where did this whole thing go haywire? Why maybe the other person was unhappy that led to this explosion or nuclear ending. So, if you're with the right person or you were with the right person, it's easy to maybe have a conversation as grown-ups afterwards, after you all realized that this was not a good, healthy situation for you, and you needed to move on. But if you were with someone, for example, like one of my exes, after the breakup, I realized, what's the point of even talking to her about it? So many situations that we had, to be clear and upfront, she chose to lie or hide or, just be deceptive about what she actually wanted to address with me. But she would go address it with other friends, and I find out about it from other girlfriends. I'm like, if you're having an issue and you're not open in communication, what's the point of even trying to reach out for a closure after that?
Right.
So I guess in conclusion of that, every relationship ending is a little different. For me, I never really went back looking for closure with that person other than if we stayed friends, which I'm glad we are. And I happen to be friends with the majority of my exes. There's only a few that I don't ever care to see them again or hear about them, and
Mm-hmm.
I consider them as if they passed away.
Mm. Yeah. I've gotten like that too. Depends on what it is, and we'll get into the poll results. But I did make that an option: yes, no, or it depends. And I've approached not just romantic relationships, but certain friendships and work relationships. Once it's like you hit a wall, you can clearly see it's really no point going back and forth, and you just kind of have to resolve that people and things are how they are, and I
Right.
bless it to the sky, and good luck. So,
Of course. And look, Terry, like the ones that I say to me, I might as well consider them be dead or like as if they passed away, are the ones that I felt that there was no point of ever communicating with that person again. I had to run for my life, basically. Like,
right,
this is a little too much. We all have baggage. None of us are 100%. You know what I mean?
right.
I am the perfect person. If you have, let me know.
Hmm.
At some point, you're looking for the person that you can help carry the load together. But the person that shows up with a semi truck worth of luggage from the beginning, that's a little off.
Right. Well, all right. So this goes to the next bullet point. So why not them? Why not finding closure through them? Kind of like what we said, because you can't control how the other person will respond, and for all you know, as far as they're concerned, the ending was the closure for them.
Of
And
course.
yeah, and if you get them to say what you think you want them to say, then what? The validation can be great to hear externally later, but it's not enough to repair you internally.
You know what? I agree with that 100%. It's just when I think about closure, I think of it as it's something you want to know for yourself because you're working on your self improvement. So if you're looking for closure with someone, is you're trying to find something that maybe you were not good at or something that you're trying to change about yourself, and not necessarily to go back with that person, but for future relationships. We learn from our mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm. Or they keep coming back. That's what they say.
You got it.
Mm-hmm. On to the next topic: how to give yourself closure. The first point here I have is to remind yourself that you've handled endings before and you will again, even on a small scale, day to night, or even the seasons. They come and they go, and during those hibernation periods, not if, but when they'll come back, you have the opportunity to come back better equipped, which is a good thing to be hopeful for yourself. Another great point from Molly's article is to stay present. Spending too much time going backwards can result in sadness, and too much time forward can make you jaded and anxious, missing out on another opportunity. So, well, I know you mentioned that for you, you spent some time traveling. Could you maybe share what you concluded from this and how you found it useful and how others may find it useful?
Of course. Um, I love traveling, as you know, but different places just give you that experience that opens your eyes to the world being a lot bigger than just that little community that you're living in. Not saying that Dallas is a small community, but world.
Feels
you
like
know,
it.
experiences from all over. This year, I went to Vietnam for the first time, for example, visiting some old friends, and I can't even explain to people how wonderful of an experience that place is, from the water, from the people, and see it from a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
You have the pure poverty lines, and then you have the super luxury levels. And just a matter of finding the right niche for you and exposing something different than what you are cooped up in, if you look at it that way.
Mm-hmm. It is a good present reminder to remind yourself that either things aren't as bad as they could be, or that there's a lot more beauty out there than just your city.
Well, of course. And I'm not saying everybody needs to go to like Vietnam. Yes, it's a wonderful place, but you can do small, short local trips. You can do staycations. I remember when you and I went to that animal resort. That was a great weekend. We went out there, animals, and we were staying in that lodge, and our animals were coming up to the car. Heck, I still have that picture of the zebra sticking its face in the car. You're freaking.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Great way to forget things. Am I gonna lose my hand?
Yeah, that ostrich.
The ostrich. Oh yeah. If you've never been stared down by an ostrich, okay, yes. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. There are options, because it is a crazy time right now, and sometimes you can't. I wish you could, travel across the world, but sometimes you have to find your getaway where you are. And we'll be covering that in the next episode. Things to do solo, where to go alone, and how to have a good time doing it. So you can definitely create your own little world where you are. All right. I do have a couple more questions just for you. And you did kind of cover it, and you did surprise me a little in that answer. I wasn't expecting it. For here, huh?
How did I surprise you?
Oh, well, it was kind of the depends answer, that I don't know if it just you in particular or guys in general, because I think more so for women, of course, we have to know why, or everything why, but you were just kind of like, well, some stuff I don't need it on, and I was like, damn. So that was my first question. Do most men seek closure, and do you find it necessary?
That's an interesting question, because I can't speak for all men. I can only speak for myself. For myself, I look at it as, again, really depending on that relationship. If I am running for my life, no thank you, I'm not looking for closure, I'm just trying to get away from that situation. You date someone, you're not really dating them, you're dating their representative.
That's
until
true.
you're with them for a little bit, and you start reading those signs, whether you get out early or you don't even get into a relationship, or you find a wonderful human being and you stay together for a long time. And as you both grow and change and mature in different ways, you might decide that it's time to move in a different direction.
I feel that. All right. The next question. In events where it may not have been in your favor, do you have a different perspective to offer in how one can move forward after a disappointment?
Is that your way of asking if somebody broke up with me instead of me breaking up with them? Alright, sure. I've been broken up with before. I wouldn't be the first human being that has gone through that, but, some of the situations, you're kind of on the borderline, and the other person, decided to call it quits sooner. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's healthy for both of us, as the people in a relationship, to have that conversation if you need it. But at the same time, you really got to assess the situation, if that person is even worth taking the time to talk to or not. Somebody breaking up with you sometimes is actually a blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My personal experience has been, wow, okay, dodged the bullet, or as you go through the process of cleaning up the mess, depending on how long the relationship was, of course. So, if we talk about our situation, we were together, couple 2+ years, so that was more to
Yeah.
clear up, I guess. Obviously, there's furniture, there's clothing, there's moving, there's family involved, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You did it for 3 months and they broke up with you or you broke up with them, it's like, move on, man.
Right. Yeah.
Your life.
Oh, that's so true. Well, I thank you again. I appreciate it as always. Is there anything else that you would like to add for people looking for closure or in general?
For people looking for closure, I think it makes sense for one to ask the question, why are they looking for that closure? Is there something that they think they did wrong and they want a clarification on it? Is there something with that relationship that they could have done differently? Not necessarily wrong, I guess that's not the right choice of words. When I look at my relationships where it was complex breakup, a lot of times I look at how was the communication between us in the first place.
Mm.
Were we communicating clearly? Was I actually expressing my feelings and my thoughts? Was she expressing her feelings and her thoughts as well? Or was she just hiding behind that facade? This is what she thinks a relationship is, or this is what I think a relationship is.
No, I'm okay.
Well, I know, right? But we're different people from different backgrounds with different thought process and different careers and everything else. So it took me a while to learn more about your lifestyle, for example, when we were together, because you were the first musician I dated, and I understood that sometimes you're out there on a gig, or showing up to some of your clarinet plays when we were playing for the orchestra or different things.
I just did one. Yep.
There you go. Well, for me back then, it was 9 to 5. You show up to work in the morning, you come home, and then you can go hit the gym, go work out, go out to eat, beverages. We had different schedules.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, you're right. We had different schedules, and I had to learn that, and I'd be okay with it or not be okay with it. That was definitely my decision, right?
Right. Yeah.
I was okay with yours.
Yeah.
I could talk about a breakup where she did not understand my schedule at all. Now that I own my own business.
Yeah.
I'm in the real estate business. I could go for a few weeks without anything really going on, and then bam, I'm busy all weekend, and I don't have ability. Or my clients are calling me at 7 o'clock at night, or whatever. So in accumulation, I might not be putting in a full 40 hours, the regular sitting at a cubicle all day, but when you look at the course of a week, I might have actually worked more like 60 or 70 hours.
Right.
Sporadic throughout the day.
Yeah. That's the thing. I agree.
I guess I'm going to conclude it by saying communicate. And if you can't be honest with that person, maybe they're not the right partner for you.
Right. And don't try to fit it if of course you're like, okay, I'll see if this can work. But if you're constantly frustrated about it and it just doesn't click, and you're a time person and they can't give you the time, or you don't want your weekend sacrificed, then yeah, you might have to revisit some things.
Of course.
Yeah. That's so true.
When somebody's playing a different role than what they really are, it shows through the regular actions, throughout the day-to-day interactions. And it makes the other person kind of standoffish in a way. So you become more distant only because you chose to lie about silly stuff, or you chose to hide silly stuff. Especially for who you are in the first place. They're not the right person for you.
Yeah.
You're not to change them. And I know we're talking about closure, but those steps kind of lead you to the breakup, and then you wonder what went wrong.
Right, why you need it in the first place. Right.
That's your thoughts.
I agree. It is more so about being honest with yourself early on and during these times, and then you're less likely to wind up needing closure in these situations. And yes, being able to clearly communicate what you're looking for in the relationship. Look at growth. Look at the Lord. Yeah. So, yeah, it makes a difference. And again, I think that's why we're able to do this. I like this. You're very introspective anyway, and you're already a good people person. That helps tremendously when people can see another perspective other than their own, or trying to make people fit, I'm like, why? It's so true.
Right. I think I shared with you the one person that I kind of opened up to not too long ago. And we dated for maybe about 3 months. But it wasn't a direct relationship. We were seeing other people because we were not sure where we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Then we did a quick trip together for a quick week, come back, and then she's like, well, are you seeing other people? And I'm like, yes. Already know the answer to that. And then she goes, well, I realized after this trip that I cannot see you if you're seeing other people. I looked at her, I'm like, you were just on a date with somebody else 2 weeks ago. She's like, yeah, I know, it's not fair, blah, blah. I was like, I'm not worried about fair or not, but you just made a decision to break up with me this morning out of the blue. Cool. I will admit, I was frustrated. I was like, you know what? Cool, thank you. And I left. No foreclosure. Just looking to move away from that madness.
Right.
I get the fact that he's hoping for more, which is the way it came across was an ultimatum.
Yeah, then those don't work. Don't do that.
Couple more weeks and I probably would have been just dating her, nobody else. Like, come on, I went on to the step of taking a trip with you as a person. I'm moving in that direction. You tried to rush me, I'm not ready for that. No, I'm going to move on and I'm going to probably hear about the decision that I feel that you made or the position you put me in. So.
Yeah. Totes.
Thanks. I guess one of the things I'm saying is we're not always the most mature people during a breakup either.
Oh, yeah.
We try to be. At least I try to be.
Yeah, but difficult initially, like I said, because what? I'm telling you, I needed about 4 good years before I could talk to you. So, it just depends. I've grown to become more of I don't like stuff nagging. I just want to either confront it, nip it in the bud, and be done with it. And again, that applies to me in, like I said, work relationships, friend relationships. Okay, what's the problem? XYZ. Okay, you're gonna complain about it, or are we gonna do something about it? Okay, and I'm done with it. Like, life is absolutely too short to just be lingering or still be pissed about it, and then the person doesn't even know or care that you're still mad about it. Like, give it a resolution and put it where you need to put it.
I agree.
It's like, see, now we're like we can look back and laugh at it. I like it. Oh, I love it. That's all I have for you.
I got nothing to say to you. You just got done with me. That's all I have for you. Bye.
It may not be 1 week. It may not be 1 year, but it always comes back. Look.
Oh, okay. Let's be fair. Learning to communicate with each other was definitely a task in the beginning. So, I don't know if you remember, I asked you for your Terriel dictionary so I can understand you sometimes.
Absolutely. But again, like I said, because the dating climate, I feel, is different than we were dating. You were more upfront. You could speak about the thing. Now it's like you're going around in circles. But yeah, yes.
Honesty. You can't be honest with yourself. How do you expect to be honest with somebody else? Also, let's be fair. If you don't like yourself, how can you expect others to like you?
That's right. Episode 1.
Right?
Yeah, that's half the battle. And I could say that was 20s for me. So I know the way that I looked at or responded to things then, I would respond to them differently now. And so it's true what they say, some distance and some time to look at things in a wide view really does make a difference.
Of course.
Yeah.
Maturity and growth happens in all stages of life.
You
as long as we're spending the time trying to learn and grow and improve ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Enlightenment does not happen overnight.
And it's good to find because, again, there's some people that have no interest in changing anything or... So, that's good to find.
I will say, it took me some years before I was willing to watch any of the Medea movies.
But you got there in your own time. That's the thing.
Right? And I'm like, why is she watching this? This is so stupid. I never said that, but I said I'm not interested in watching them.
See, thank you. Okay.
Well, there's a difference between communicating your thoughts and being mean,
Right.
There's no need to be a dick about it.
Right. It's compromise. It's me watching the stuff on the PlayStations and the Medea movies. It's a trade-off. It was a trade-off. What did you used to play? What? It wasn't Call of Duty. What was it?
Oh, God, I played a bunch of stuff back then.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't remember. Back then, there were so many games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Would you believe I haven't even turned on my Xbox in, almost a year?
No.
I know. I've been so busy with other stuff, and then when I have a little time, I get to travel, or try to travel, so I haven't had time to actually play it. But now everybody's playing some sort of game on their phone.
I gotta get hip.
Right. That makes sense.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Again, it all comes back to communication in a lot of aspects. So, we feel like if we bring it up or talk about it, the other person will get upset. But you know what? I would rather have an upset or discussion and an uneasy discussion than have a build-up of resentment and a blow-up.
See, okay, yeah, and I figured that out later when they say, oh, I'm afraid to bring this up or whatever. But if it upsets them, well, actually, that's a good thing. Or things that you don't want to broach early in a relationship. It's true. You should ask these things earlier and weed them out or find out, well, maybe this really isn't the right person. Yeah, speaking up is true. Speak up.
A lot easier to figure this stuff out earlier on by being honest than be in a relationship for 3-4 years that is not healthy for you.
Right, after you done moved everything in.
Right.
Oh, you gotta change your mailing address. Oh, God.
Speak for yourself. Well, I actually changed my mailing address. I'm all the way in a different state now, but that was years after.
Right, I was like, it was that bad?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm not opposed. Change of scenery is not a bad idea.
True. And no, the grass is not always greener on the other side. It just looks that way from your end because you're not taking care of your lawn.
That's right. Still gotta water it.
Mm-hmm. Relationships or work. Yeah, I know it's a lot of cliche wordings that is being used, but that's just the reality.
It is.
It doesn't mean because you spend all day at work that you come home and you ignore your partner.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-mm.
At all.
Right.
Being thoughtful, being, considerate, having a discussion, going out and grabbing a bite together, just doing a date night, whatever.
Yeah.
We went out a lot,
Yeah, absolutely.
On the outings.
I appreciate that. It feels like bare minimum season.
What do you mean by bare minimum season?
Bare minimum. I mean, it's not a lot of guys that are like, let's go on an actual date. It's like, let's literally Netflix and chill, or it's just real kind of like basic. They don't want to put no effort in. It's kind of what it feels like.
I gotcha. I can also kind of see that point of view because the dating life out there is weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, Terrio, let me tell you.
It is.
The second somebody finds out what I do for a living and then they go, oh, okay. And then on the first date they want to go to, like, eat lobster. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, have you ever had lobster before?
Like, I don't know you.
I don't even know you. Why will I take you to lobster? Let's go eat some pho. Let's go eat something normal that you would eat and we can have a casual conversation. I'm not trying to impress you by the meal I'm buying.
Right. And that's...
You know what? We're in 2023. How about the meal they're buying?
Oh, yeah. It's it's only such a small part of it. It's so true.
No, all jokes aside, though, the cliche of going on a first date and the guy is buying the dinner, it's been so abused by so many people that are serial daters that are not necessarily looking for a date. They're looking for a free meal.
So that is true for you.
They've gotten there with some people, and you can kind of tell early on. So when I go on a date, honestly, on a first date, in my mind, if it goes well, what I mean goes well, like the communication line is going well, we're actually having good conversation, we're actually talking about things. At that point, I don't see any problem with picking up the bill. However, here we are, we're two grown adults. We're both working, we both all have our own lives. We met up, we grabbed the bite, the conversation wasn't going well, there was no chemistry or any of that. Why am I expected to pick up the tab?
In an early on date, yeah, I could see that.
On a first date, if there was a second or a third or whatever, that's a different conversation, obviously. On a first date, it's like, I don't even know you. I don't know if I like you. Why has it become the norm? Like, I get it, back in the day, like, when you talk like grandparents and stuff like that, or even our parents' era, okay, women made a lot less money, that's understandable. Sometimes they didn't even work at all because they were still living at their parents' house when they went out on the first date. So yeah, the boy picked up the tab. I get that. But now we are grown adults. We're both working. Why is your time, I have to pay for it? I have to pay for your time to be with me? That's already setting up the wrong standards of a relationship.
Yeah.
I guess it comes across as your time is more valuable than mine, and if I want to spend time with you, I have to pay for it. That's how it's make sense?
Okay, thank you.
And to me, that's illogical. Now, there are exceptions to every rule, like a single mom who's already got to pay for a babysitter just to be able to come out on the date in the first place.
Okay. I can see that, yeah.
I'm like, okay, she's already $40-$60 out just to be out for a couple of hours.
That's true.
I don't know. Really, the best answer to all of this is it depends on the situation.
That's true, as long as you make it clear up front what you're looking for or...
Yeah, I'm looking for a mature adult that I can consider an equal. And not saying equal isn't like has to be financial or whatever, but like maturity level, communication, being able to, talk about things without getting emotionally butthurt about their feelings. Like, no, this is a logical conversations. This is, some emotions can obviously be involved, but we can agree to disagree on things and still have a great relationship.
Right.
You didn't always agree with my thought process. I didn't always agree with your thought process. But overall, I think it was a pretty decent, solid relationship.
Right. No L's, only lessons.
You got it.
But that's why I said you might have set the bar a little too high because it's kind of dry out here.
Oh, trust me, I kind of understand that feeling.
Crazy.
There's some serious nut jobs out there.
It's something.
Of course.
Quality over quantity, you know.
Right.
That's why I'm.
No, I'm not talking about the mad chemistry attraction where it's just a physical thing. That's a whole different mess. We're talking about real relationships here. We're talking about building blocks. Mm-hmm. You know, when I use the word building blocks, it makes me think of this metaphor of a relationship. It's like a railroad track. You're your own person, I am my own person. And the more time we spend together, the more blocks we're building in front of us to support the railroad and the rails. You know how the rails have those tracks and it has those beams underneath it?
Yeah.
So you're putting more of those and you're extending your railroad. If the relationship starts going sour when one person gets too attached and start leaning toward the other rail, then the train is going to crash.
It's harder to stop. The longer it goes, the harder that is to stop. Yeah.
You got it. You hear about that, the married couple 7-year itch or whatever it is?
Yes.
And you hear about these, midlife crisis and all those things that happen. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. We are human beings. And I feel if you have a good, stable, honest communication, you walked in as grown-ups, you can walk away as grown-ups. If you're choosing to step out on your relationship, not saying that that's accepted, but if you're choosing to do so, why are you letting the stranger know before you let your partner know? Yeah. If you are afraid of losing what you have, why are you even looking outside?
Right.
Apparently, if you're afraid of losing what you have, that means you cherish what you have. But your actions are going a different route. So if you cherish what you have, communicate so you don't lose it.
Right. Treat it like an expensive glass plate.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because you can't put it...
They'll have the stupid crystal glasses.
So in this week's poll results, I asked, do you need closure? And for the Instagram stories, I got 33% all the way around. 33% said yes, 33% said no, and 33% said it depends. Facebook lent itself to my classmate out here, always with the gorgeous makeup looks. Shout out to Keisha. Thank you for your response, love. And it was actually similar to what Will said. And she said if she knows what she brought to the relationship, there's no need to look for closure. And I 100% agree with this. If you give you to the best of your ability, anything faulty from the other party is their cross to bear. Thank you again for your feedback. So, thanks again for listening. A few takeaways from this episode. It's a natural and part of the human experience to go through beginnings and endings. Now, easier said than done, but in your own way, you must find peace or accept things as they are. If you are truly looking to make a change for the better, create a personal ritual to allow the events to be shelved as a part of your history and not an attachment to your everyday life. Remember to keep yourself in the present. Take a moment to reflect on what it brought to you. Then apply these things to your life in the present to help hone in better decisions and to fuel you and keep you moving forward. Also, if you're feeling stuck, it may be time to review your perspective around things. Though we want these to be resolved right now, I think this episode was a great example of what continuing to live your life moving forward and gaining some perspective and even distance can do. Remember, things come back full circle. Thanks again for listening, y'all. You're earning your badges here. On next episode, we're going to be talking about going out solo, how to do it confidently, where to go, and how to enjoy yourself doing it. Yes, I promise, you can. If you like what you heard today, be sure to like and share on IG, Instagram, and now YouTube at Sure Is Quiet Podcast. Come and get your point of view heard on the Facebook group under the same name, Sure Is Quiet, and have some of your feedback featured in a future episode. This week I'm asking, what's your fear about going out or being seen out alone? And I'm looking forward to reading those responses. You guys have yourself a wonderful week.
Thank you for having me on here.
Of course.
Good night.
And I'll see you next week. It's a date. This podcast was created, written, and produced by me, Terrielle. The views and comments are strictly my own and for entertainment purposes only. Until next time, sure it's quiet.